Now, you may know that this week the Nigerian government unveiled its National Tourism Policy document. It's aimed at advancing attempts to harness the potential of this country's tourism industry. The government hopes to attract enough investment to turn the sector around. And let's face it, Nigeria's tourism sector is in a decrepit state as a result of decades of neglect and lack of funding, with many sites taken over by bushes and wild animals. Most states in this country, apart from maybe Cross River, appear never to have thought of diversifying into tourism as a way of raising their internally generated revenue, but prefer to rely almost entirely on monthly allocations from the federal government. And even if they wanted to grow their tourism sector, how do they do this without access roads, proper transport, and adequate security? Well, one person who's worked tirelessly to grow Nigeria's tourism sector in the face of numerous challenges is the CEO of Nigeria Travel 2, or NTT, Elizabeth Agboola. Her company helped to set up and manage the first direct charter flight from Lagos to Montego Bay in Jamaica in December 2020. Since then, Ms. Agboola has arranged tourism initiatives with various destinations, including Brazil, the Maldives, Argentina, and Jordan. And Elizabeth Agboola joins me now in the studio. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Charles.
So how does tourism look in Nigeria today, in your assessment?
Well, I think in my assessment is double: the actual face of things and how I feel about things. So in the face of things, the Nigerian tourism feels as almost non-existent. We have very few people that are promoting Nigeria in the international space. Yes, we're doing a lot domestically, but domestic is not what is going to get us the dollars we need for us to see the real revenue in the tourism industry. Whilst it feels like we don't have good roads, we don't have this, a few of us have worked tirelessly to be creative, even out of nothing, to make something. So that's why I said I have two feelings towards it.
So what are the biggest vulnerabilities that you've found in that sector more recently?
I think the biggest is around the funding side of things. The private sector are doing so much to actually support the tourism office. However, there's only so much private people can do, and there is never funding from the government. There's never anything. So a lot of the tourism promotions I've had to do, the countries I've had to visit, I've had to do by myself just to go put Nigeria out there. In 2022, a country like Indonesia, we're having problems with visas for Nigerians. I went there with a group of tour operators to go speak to the tourism board there, like, listen, we want to have a mutual exchange. Our people come for tourism and you come to ours. So we had to use our money.
Well, did they say, well, we don't want to come to your country?
They didn't actually say that. They said, we don't know about your country.
Right.
When I said to them, do you actually know that as you speak 4 languages, as your number, Indonesia is number 4 in the amount of languages, Nigeria is number, no, they are 3, we're 4. They're like, oh, really? We talked about so many similarities, and they're like, okay, once you guys are ready, we're happy to come.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the big question, once you're ready. I mean, you can't have people turning up when you don't have security, you haven't got good roads and so on. I mean, I remember traveling through Cross River State. They've got some absolutely fantastic tourism sites there, but most of the roads were all banged up. I guess what is instructive as well about what you're doing is that the tourism traffic is not coming to Nigeria, but is going the other way, away from this country.
I think it's going the other way because a lot of those countries are actually paying for tourism promotions. They're actually investing in promoting their countries to Nigerian operators. They are giving very reasonable accommodation rates to us to create packages. They're actually inviting tour operators to come to their country to experience their countries. I can't even go to a hotel in Lagos to say, this is me, this is my profile, I want myself and a group of others to explore Lagos. They're not going to even give you a discount, talk more of actually host you. So those countries that are doing well in terms of their countries being sold to Nigerians is because they're investing in it. We're not doing that on the other side.
Nevertheless, you pulled off a big coup in December 2020 when you arranged the first charter flight between Nigeria and Jamaica. The Jamaican ambassador, Esmond Reed, was on it, the High Commissioner. The Nigerian Minister of Foreign Affairs at the time, Jeffrey Onyama, was on it as well. What has happened ever since that time?
Not a lot has happened, I would say.
I mean, in terms of the traffic between Jamaica and Nigeria.
In terms of the traffic, I would say not a lot has happened because a lot of Nigerians can't access the Caribbean without the Holy Trinity, which I call the UK, US, Schengen visas. And as the Holy Trinity, they're sacred. They're not easy to access. So a lot of people who really want to go do not have such visas. So,
so no further flights since then?
No further flights since then. We've not had the people that should have the conversation about the real investment for the flights. They've not come up yet with such.
Right, okay. Well, I mean, you mentioned one thing at the outset, which is the fact that you're doing much more domestically. I mean, it's obviously important that if Nigerians have confidence in their domestic tourism, then it kind of, you know, it has a knock-on effect on it. A bit like Afrobeats. I mean, Nigerians fell in love with it, and then it caught on with the rest of the world. You've been doing quite a bit with tourism in Kano in northern Nigeria. Tell us about that.
Well, I would say Kano is a place that actually stole my heart. I will put it that way. For someone who didn't pretty much grow up in Nigeria, and get into the north of Nigeria for me was a case of, this place is different from the south. I was very excited, like a kid high on candy. The culture was so exciting. The people, the food, everything felt like I was in a different place. And I think afterwards, I said to myself, you know what? I want everybody to know more about Kano. So we started Experience Kano page, and we started working with the various emirates there in Kano to actually promote the Adaba Festival. And we equally brought in some form of cultural diplomacy last year when we did invite some diplomatic missions here in Abuja to come to Kano to experience the Daba Festival. And we had quite a few of them, Germany, Namibia, the ambassadors, the high commissioners of Namibia, they came as well, and they exploded, and they were like, we would have never known there was a place like this and how cool it is and all. So yes, I would say the north of Nigeria is very demarcated, and me and my team put in the effort there for Kano and the wider north. It's probably one of the biggest tourism achievements, I would say, I have ongoing right now in Nigeria.
Right. Well, we want to commend you for what you're doing, and do come back and talk to us again some other time when you've got some interesting projects. It's always good to see things being promoted about Nigeria. Elizabeth Agboola is the CEO of Nigeria Travel 2, or NTT. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.